There are a lot of successful people out there. I know because I've met many of them. Their stories and the passion that led them to chase their dreams. That's what this show is about. Let's get started.
Understanding economics, understanding coming to terms with God, realizing the commerce without morality is a sin. So yes, do good business, but do good business with a heart. Have consideration and give fair value in your products and services. Born in Montreal, raised in Jamaica.
Right.
I always tell people the best of two islands. Jamaica is a third world country. And even though it's the first world of the Caribbean countries, it still isn't the same thing as North America. And being Canadian born, there's certain privileges that come along with that, like education, healthcare. I'm the firstborn of 3 children. And none of us really knew our fathers. And here we had a strong young woman at 17 years old, just going out there and doing what you could do. In a time where you have to realize, this is almost 2012 here. There's a lot of things that used to be taboo, which now are very acceptable. Like, for example, back, say, 35 years ago, being unmarried and having children was a very big taboo. As you having a bastard child. So my mother being a single mother, 3 different fathers, 3 different boy children, only 2 together, the third one off in a distance. She had to do, and being 17 years old, you can imagine that she was just fresh out of high school. So what she used to do was she would work in a bar in Montreal, and then because Montreal is the fashion district of Canada, she'd get all her clothes from Montreal, take them to Jamaica where everything is a standard 100% markup anyway, and she'd do about 300 to 400% markup with desperate housewives type of category of women who stayed at home with their husband's money and just wanted to buy exclusive fashion. So she'd drive around with these exclusive one-of-a-kind fashions to a small market of women and basically sell them out of her trunk. And so being around her, watching her doing that, watching her move from being, a barmaid in Montreal to an entrepreneur to, spinning all of those clothing out of her trunk into a real business where she opened a store and then started dollar stores in the Caribbean. All of that kind of, basically I learned from all of that how to become an entrepreneur. I was inspired, and being that none of the fathers were around and I was her firstborn child, and she was 17 when she had me, so we were pretty close in age. Right. I was also like her confidant, her leading man, as well as her son and her best friend. But definitely I helped her out a lot in many different ways. When I was growing up, I was good at accounting, good at business, not only because of my relationship, gene pool, and association with my mother and other members in the family, but also because of just the subjects that I took in school that I excelled at. When I turned 15 years old, I stopped coming to Canada for the summer holidays because now as a teenager, things were ramping up in the Caribbean, in Jamaica. And growing up in Jamaica was a lot like paradise, a lot of beaches, every single, literally almost every day. It was hot weather, it was, alcohol till the morning, lovely young ladies all over. But by the time I finished high school and then a couple of years of college, there's only so much further you could go with education in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, in the third world. And because I was a Canadian citizen, at 20 years old, I decided to come back to Canada to go to the University of Western Ontario because they had the Richard Ivey School of Business, which at that point in time was the best business school in Canada. And in school, I went to I went to business school and did economics. However, I was in one economics class. I'll never forget it. Labor of Economics. And in economics, they've got a whole bunch of graphs that they always draw, and there's 2 lines, and there's an intersection point, and all these graphs look alike. And in this one class, they said, okay, draw the graph. This is the supply of labor. This is demand for labor. This is where our company makes $10,000 profit with 50,000 workers, and over here we make $20,000 profit with X amount of workers. They're both profit. But look, in order to maximize profit, we're going to fire 50,000 people. And I cried. I was in the front of that. I was in the front of that class, listening to this professor draw this graph and say, we make profit regardless, but to make a better profit, we're going to fire 50,000 people. And that's when I realized how people got fired from a graph. And I cried. And I left school for 2 years. My grandfather was an architect for the economic policies of Jamaica and most of the Caribbean. He wrote a book, Persistent Poverty, which talked about third world economies, the capitalist versus communist system, the corporate capitalism, all of that sort of thing. The inequalities at the social level and the atrocities carried out by governments on their own people in favor of the companies that sponsored them. So when I sat in that class and saw how people lost their jobs, it hit me at a really deep level. I remember Gandhi said that one of the 7 deadly sins is commerce without morality. So here I am, an atheist, and I saw how people got fired over a graph, and I cried. I left school, I took 2 years off, I read a whole bunch of books and found God. And I remember I was reading one Gnostic gospel, and it said the only thing that Gnostics believe that was a counterpart to Orthodox Christianity was that when you discover yourself at your deepest level, simultaneously you'll know God. And when that happened, I came back to school after 2 years, well-read, more rounded, more balanced in terms of where I wanted to go in terms of my philosophical outlook and my worldview, and I finished up school in economics and religious studies. Growing up in Jamaica, we don't have a last call, right? And in Jamaica, I used to throw exclusive parties where you can eat all day, drink all night. It was all inclusive, no fine print. Right. So these parties would last until the break of dawn. Break of dawn for one of 2 reasons. Either the alcohol ran out, or it's just that the nightlife is finished when the sun comes up. You know, the vampires go back to bed, so to speak. So when I came to Canada, at that point in time, they had a 1 o'clock last call. And I remember coming from Jamaica, I was in throwing elite entertainment events around that, parties like Wet we used to do, where you have like, a pool, melon balls, jello shots, a deli bar, a soup stand, grilled chicken stand, and it was just amazing. Bikinis all over the place, fire truck with hoses watering everybody down. It's just purely Caribbean styles, right? So I come up here, it's 1 o'clock last call, and in Jamaica, people don't really go up, because we don't have a last call, people don't really go out until midnight, 12 o'clock, So here I come to Canada, and it's 1 o'clock last call, and all of a sudden I'm realizing, okay, maybe we need to have an after party. When I moved to Montreal, I really stepped up the game, did a lot more elite venues. Eventually, we got our own 72,000 square foot retreat. And it was like, without saying too much, it was like a mini hedonism on the island of Montreal, which is pretty much the Las Vegas of Canada, a little sin city. So it had its own notoriety. Anyway, one day I was walking around through the party, and there were people crisscrossing along my path where I was walking, and some people would be like, "Juan, you rock," or "Let's do a shot, let's go," or "Man, I can't. This party should never end. You're doing such a great job." And for some reason, on that particular night, I felt empty. I felt as if these people, yes, I was inspiring them for the moment, but I didn't really service their aspirations. And at that point in time, I felt as if I wanted to be more of a productive asset to the community. One, I knew I wanted to become a father. I was ready. I think everybody has a biological clock where they just feel as if it's their turn to nurture life in itself. And so simultaneously with that realization inside of me, I also knew that I wanted to have more professional portfolios. You know, I was doing marketing for quite some time, and I was really good at getting your face on the map, your business exposure, generating business, bringing people in through your doors. Now I wanted to do this on a grander scale and more professional. And at this point in life, I had gotten to a point where now the portfolios that I was starting to attract were in excess of $500,000. And so what I wanted to do was turn around and, you know, challenge more professional portfolios in that caliber, less in the entertainment industry and more just with professional services. So the first thing that I did was we had this product. It was a tobacco product, cigars, that were manufactured out of Dominican Republic that we started to market. I actually went back to Jamaica and spent 6 months marketing this brand of cigars down in the Caribbean, and it was magnificent. You know, it was a multi-billion-dollar, in Jamaican dollars, so multi-million in US dollar portfolio, and we're very successful about in launching that nationally across the island of Jamaica, and that just served as a catalyst for the rest of the Caribbean. Now, when I was finished with that portfolio, I returned to Canada, and I was involved with a telecommunications company associated with one of the top 5 CLECs in Canada. We had the best price, hands down, and I was very instrumental at helping them with their marketing, their launch of their business, and half of their customer base was subscribers through me. So that was good right there. Over time, though, because of bad management, and we won't mention the company's name, but because of bad management, they went under. No fault of mine, but that's how business goes. As you know, over 50% of businesses fold within the first year anyway. This one happened to have gone 2 years, so they're a little bit luckier than most, but hey, in the long run, it didn't serve them well. And then after that, what happened is I started to encounter, because I had my own marketing business, and those are a few portfolios that we mentioned. We don't go into all of them, but these are very big stepping stones along the way. So eventually I decided, I came into this company, Legal Shield, and, you know, I like niche marketing, things that you can't find everywhere, where there's a void, a need in the marketplace, and you have a product or service that's filling that void. And so Legal Shield was one of those companies that just gave unlimited legal access for a flat rate. And I thought to myself, wow, you know, whether you're an individual wanting a will, whether you have like a little family court stuff going on, whether you have a criminal situation, or you're just a small business that needs legal access, you're talking hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And this company was offering it for pennies. So we subsumed them into our company as a 40-year-old franchise that had that was filling a void in the marketplace. And then they had another component, Go Small Biz, which did the same equivalent, but for small business consultation, online tools and resources to help you, you know, maximize the efficiency of how you run your business. That was another service that we subsumed in there. Over time, all these companies and projects between One Love Marketing, Legal Shield, Go Small Biz, our own 20-year profession as a business owner, our own 10-year credibility as an elite marketer. We just created all of these to create one professional small business development company, which to date has become the GSBBC. The great Jim Rohn once said, you know, giving is better than receiving, because giving starts the receiving process. You know, and it's interesting, just like the Good Shepherd taught, help as many people get what they want, you can have everything you want. So initially, we just wanted to be a valuable asset to the business community. We know that the success of any business is based on the ability to leverage tools and resources and other people's efforts, because no man is an island. No business as such either. And if you don't have access to the right tools and resources, it's a recipe for disaster. We work with the Chamber of Commerce in tandem with the Small Business Center, and we work with a lot of professionals. Just in this local town of London, Ontario, 360,000 people. But over the last 6 months, we've been able to grow our networking efforts, develop our workshops, offer these unlimited resources, the legal, the business consultants, the accounting tools, the web builders, everything from A to Z, where businesses now have a better chance of being successful in their endeavors. Maybe instead of over 50% of businesses crashing in the first year, just in our little demographic of people who tap into us, maybe we can increase those statistics to maybe only 30% of businesses crash in the first year. Single Women in Motherhood is actually an organization which we promote and propagate, and it helps to empower them through various different mechanisms, like they have a session, a forum where women can come and sit together in a let's talk about it round table type of forum, and basically vent and maybe find some answers from other women who are in similar situations. And then they have graduated programs that will take you through one-on-one mentoring sessions or group sessions, life coaching. You know, because to be successful in life, you have to cultivate positive ideals. And sometimes you can't cultivate positive ideals if you're surrounded by a lot of frustration or even circumstances where your world seems to be crumbling around you. And I'm very happy to have come to a point in my life where I found the right woman, a good mother, and we're able to have two very healthy, adorable children, and sky's the limit. You know, right now it's just about building that family fortune and being able to give them more of a future than was provided for me. Man, the world has changed so much. And look, I don't claim to be an old bird here, but I'm 35 years old. I've seen a couple things, and because I'm very well read, you know, I go back in history. I've read it all. Where's the world right now? I don't know. I could get into politics, but Europe is crumbling. The American dollar is overinflated. This is not stuff I'm just making up. A lot of people, this is popular knowledge. And I see the economy, it's at a point, they got the breaking point, the point of no return. And it's going to take a lot of effort in order to turn the economy around. In 2008, there was a big economic disaster. Granted, most people felt that. And simultaneously, it marked a very pivotal point in my own life. Because at this point in time was when I was working for the telecommunications company, of which I mentioned before, we're half of their subscriber base, and it was a pretty big portfolio on my books. And I thought for sure, being one of the founding members of the telecommunications company, also having not only one of the founders, but being half of their subscriber base, getting a salary from the company, and get residuals off of the customers, in addition to my own marketing portfolios. I thought for sure I was well on my way to retirement. And nothing to do specifically with the economy at that point in time, but between the company going under and some portfolios in my marketing company going under, what happened is that I lost a lot of money. And I lost a lot of money in a time where the economy was contracting, there was a financial crisis, and, you know, things were getting tight. And, you know, it was a real pivotal time for me because in addition to the economic crisis and the contracting opportunities at the time, I was about to have my second child. And, you know, being that I'm from the single parent, single family, no fathers around, one of my biggest phobias is being a deadbeat dad. I felt the walls closing in. I mean, thinking about it, if you really look at me, you can see tears coming to my eyes. You know, even the tone in my voice changing. Because it brings back some powerful memories. You know, and some deep-seated emotions. You know, becoming the one thing that you wish not to be is a cathartic experience, a cathartic circumstance to face the possibility of. At that point in time, the economy was going under, and I was going under, but I had some key people enter into my life, key opportunities, and it really helped turn things around. You know, maybe my son being born was a blessing that helped out, but that's where it led me. It led me to where I am today. 3 years ago, I thought for sure I didn't know what I was going to do. Owned 3 different companies: Good God Go Promotions, Love and Joy Productions, and One Love Marketing. And all of those companies, I was either the founder, the director, the VP of marketing, or just at some point, in some way, the spearhead of the organization. There's 3 things that really, hit me whenever I think about it. Single mother struggling without 3 fathers, Second one would be, without a doubt, watching people get fired on a graph.
Yeah.
Third one is the being $12,000 in the hole 1 month before the birth of my second child, And I think to myself, wow, these are things that can make or break a person, and more often than not, break them. And I look back now and I say to myself, wow, I've come out on top by special grace. If you want to put it upon the powers that be, you could say by divine inspiration. Not necessarily because of any necessary skill or strength on my part, but just the circumstances around me. And if I could just help
It's worth it.
it's worth it.